Jack walked into the bright, busy restaurant on the space station. It was a place famous for serving rare and exotic dishes from many planets. Jack was hungry after a long day of work, and today he wanted something special. He sat down at the table and looked at the menu. His eyes stopped at the rare steak from Zorth Prime, a delicacy that only a few had ever tried. He called the waiter and said, "I want the rare steak, please." With a confident smile, the waiter nodded and disappeared into the busy kitchen. Jack looked around and saw many different aliens eating strange foods. Some had many eyes, some had wings, and some looked like walking trees. The restaurant was full of noise and strange smells. Jack felt a little nervous, but also excited for the rare steak. Minutes passed, and Jack waited patiently. Suddenly, the waiter came back with a large cage, covered in shiny metal. Jack blinked and frowned, wondering why his steak was coming in a cage. The waiter opened the cage door slowly, and Jack saw something that shocked him. Inside the cage was a young alien girl. She looked very different from anyone Jack had seen before. Her skin was smooth and pale with a soft glow. Her eyes were large and blue, filled with fear. She had long hair that shimmered like silver in the light. But what surprised Jack the most was that she was alive, and she looked scared. Jack's heart beat fast, and he quickly looked around. No one else seemed to notice or care about the cage. The waiter smiled politely and said, "Your rare steak, sir." As if nothing was strange, Jack could not believe what he was hearing. He stared at the alien girl, trying to understand why was she called a steak. Was this some kind of joke? The alien girl moved inside the cage, trying to hide in a corner. Her eyes locked with Jack's, silently begging for help. Jack felt confused and scared at the same time. He wanted to ask questions, but his mouth was dry. He looked back at the waiter and asked quietly, "What is going on here?" The waiter's smile did not change, and he said, "This girl is a rare delicacy from the outer planets. Only a few customers can afford her, and you are lucky to have her served today." Jack's mind raced with thoughts. He had heard stories about cruel trades in the galaxy, aliens captured and sold to others as food or slaves, but he never believed such things would happen here. Was this legal? Was this right? The alien girl's eyes were wide with fear, and Jack saw tears begin to form. He felt a strange pull inside his chest, a mix of fear, sadness, and anger. He slowly reached out his hand to the cage door. The girl flinched, but she did not run away. Jack whispered, "Don't worry, I will help you." Suddenly, the restaurant owner appeared, a tall alien with sharp features and cold eyes. He walked straight to Jack's table and said, "Enjoy your meal, sir. This is a very rare dish. Not many get to taste something so fresh and unique." Jack looked up and met the owner's hard gaze. He did not like the way the owner talked about the girl, as if she was nothing but food. Jack felt a wave of anger rising inside him. He stood up and said loudly, "This is not a meal. This is a living being." The restaurant fell silent for a moment, all eyes on Jack and the cage. The alien girl looked at Jack with hope for the first time. The owner smiled coldly and said, "You can choose to eat or keep her, but the price is the same. She is yours now, but don't forget, many want her back." Jack's mind was spinning. How could he decide such a thing? Was this a trap? He looked around the restaurant and saw some hungry customers watching him. Some smiled, some laughed, waiting for his answer. Jack took a deep breath, trying to stay calm. He said, "I will think about it," and sat back down slowly, inside his heart. Jack knew his life was about to change forever. He stared at the cage, the alien girl's eyes never leaving his. What had he gotten himself into? The waiter cleared his throat softly and said, "Sir, would you like something to drink while you decide?" Jack nodded slowly and said, "Yes, please." The alien girl whispered softly, "Help me." barely loud enough for Jack to hear. Jack felt a mix of fear and hope. He did not know what he would do next, but one thing was clear. This was no ordinary night, and nothing would be the same again. After the strange night at the restaurant, Jack could not sleep. His mind kept going back to the alien girl in the cage. He wondered about her story. Why was she captured? What made her so special that people wanted to eat her? He knew he had to learn more, but how? Early the next morning, Jack returned to the restaurant. He needed answers. The place was quiet now. Without the noise of customers, the owner was not around, but the waiter was there. Jack asked him quietly, "Who is that girl? What is her name?" The waiter hesitated, but then said, "Her name is Lyra. She is from the planet Iridia. Far from here, she belongs to a noble family, but was captured during a war. Many people want to find her because of her rare bloodline, her people believe. She has powers that can change fate." Jack's eyes widened. A noble alien girl with special powers. This was more than just a story about food. He felt a strange respect and fear at the same time. He asked, "What kind of powers does she have?" The waiter looked away and whispered, "No one knows for sure. But those who capture her believe she can heal or control energy. That is why she is so valuable, not just as a prize, but as a weapon." Jack's heart beat faster. He knew this was dangerous. If the wrong people found her, it could be disaster. He decided he must see Lyra again and talk to her. Back in the small room behind the restaurant, Lyra sat quietly in her cage, staring at the cold metal bars. She was tired and scared, but when she saw Jack, something in her eyes changed. Hope flickered. Jack came close and said softly, "Lyra, I want to help you. Can you tell me your story?" Lyra looked at him with a mix of fear and trust. She nodded slowly and began to speak, her voice trembling. "My home, Iridia, was a peaceful place once. We had harmony with nature and strong bonds between families. But a great war broke out. Enemies invaded our land and captured many of us. I was taken from my family during the chaos. I do not know if they are alive or safe." Jack listened carefully, feeling pain in her words. He asked, "Why did they want you alive? What did they plan to do?" Lyra looked down. "They believe my blood holds power to heal wounds and to protect, but also power to destroy if used wrongly. They want to use me for their own gain, to become stronger and control more worlds." Jack's mind raced. He could not let such a cruel fate happen to her. He promised, "I will keep you safe, no matter what." Lyra's eyes filled with tears. For the first time in many months, she felt a small warmth, but Jack knew danger was near. Suddenly, the door opened fast. The restaurant owner's voice rang out. "Cold and angry, Jack. I hear you have been asking too many questions. Lyra is valuable property, and she will be returned soon. You have no right to interfere." Jack stood tall and said firmly, "She is not property. She is a living being, and I will not let you hurt her." The owner laughed, dark and cruel. "You think you can stop me? Many have tried and failed. Remember, I have powerful friends and resources. You are playing a dangerous game. Human." Jack felt a chill. He looked at Lyra and saw fear grow in her eyes. He had to act fast. He whispered to Lyra, "We must leave tonight. I will find a way to keep you safe." Lyra nodded. She trusted him completely. Together, they planned their escape, that night, under the cover of darkness. Jack returned with tools to open the cage. Lyra's heart beat fast as the cold metal clicked open. She stepped out carefully. Her body weak, but her spirit strong. They moved silently through the dark halls. Avoiding cameras and guards, Lyra's strange powers began to glow softly, a faint light that helped them hide in shadows. Jack whispered, "Your powers. They will help us, won't they?" Lyra nodded. "Yes, but I must control them carefully. If I lose control, it could be dangerous." They reached the exit but heard voices behind them. The owner had sent men to catch them. Jack grabbed Lyra's hand and ran. They jumped into a small shuttle waiting nearby. The engines roared as they flew away from the space station. Lyra looked out at the stars. Free for the first time in a long time, but she knew the fight was just beginning. Jack looked at her, and Lee said, "I don't know what comes next, but I promise I will stand with you no matter what." Lyra smiled faintly. "Thank you, Jack, for believing in me, outside, in the darkness of space." The hunter was already on their trail. The chase had begun, and no one was safe. Jack and Lyra sat inside the small shuttle. The hum of the engines filling the silent space between them, outside the windows. Stars flashed past as they moved away from the space station. But Jack knew this was just the beginning of a bigger danger. They were not safe yet, not by far. Lyra looked tired, but her eyes shone with determination. "I need to get far away from here," she said quietly. "My people's enemies will never stop chasing me." Jack nodded. "I know, but where can we go? We have no friends, no safe place yet." Lyra closed her eyes for a moment and then opened them with a new light. "There is a planet called Valora. It is hidden in an asteroid belt. Few know about it. It is a safe place for those who want to disappear." Jack smiled for the first time in days. "Then we go there, no matter what." But their hope was short-lived. Suddenly, the shuttle's alarm blared loudly. Red lights flashed inside the cabin. Jack's eyes snapped to the control panel. "We're being followed," he shouted, gripping the controls. Outside, a fast and dark ship appeared. It moved quickly. Cutting through space like a shadow, the ship was the hunters, sent by the restaurant owner. They were closing in fast. Jack pushed buttons frantically, trying to shake the pursuer. "Hold on, Lyra. This will be rough," he warned. The shuttle twisted and turned, dodging between asteroids and space debris. But the hunter ship was faster and better armed. Lyra reached out, placing her hands on the shuttle's walls. A soft blue light started to glow from her fingertips. Energy flowed from her like a quiet storm. Suddenly, a shield of light surrounded the shuttle. It protected them from small rocks and energy blasts. Jack was amazed. "Your powers. They saved us," he said with hope. Lyra nodded. "But I must save my strength," she warned. "I cannot hold this shield forever." The hunter's ship fired again, this time with bigger energy beams. The shuttle shook violently. Warning! Lights flashing everywhere. Jack's hands tightened on the controls. Sweat on his forehead. They were losing power fast. Just when it seemed they would be caught, Lyra shouted, "Hold on." Her eyes glowed bright blue, and a wave of energy burst from her. The shuttle jumped forward in a sudden burst of speed. They broke free from the hunter's grasp, disappearing into the dark shadows of the asteroid belt. Jack let out a breath. He didn't know he was holding. "That was close," he said, smiling nervously. Lyra looked at him with tired eyes but smiled back. "We have to be careful," she said. "The hunter will not give up so easily." They landed the shuttle on a small rocky planet hidden in the belt. The surface was rough and dark, with sharp stones and deep caves. Lyra looked around carefully. "This is Valora," she said. "We can hide here for a while." Jack helped her out of the shuttle. The cold wind bit at their skin, but the silence was comforting. They made their way to a cave that Lyra said was safe inside. It was dark but warm, protected from the harsh weather outside. As Jack set up a small campfire, Lyra told him more about her past. "I was born into a noble family, but war took everything. My people believe in peace, but others want to control us." She paused. "I have abilities that many fear, but I want to use them for good." Jack listened closely, feeling respect for her strength. "Why do you trust me?" he asked quietly. Lyra smiled softly. "Because you saw me as a person, not a prize. You didn't run away when you saw my cage. That means more than you know. Jack felt a strange warmth in his chest. He promised himself he would protect her. No matter the cost, suddenly, a noise outside the cave made them both freeze. Footsteps approached slowly, careful and quiet. Jack grabbed a nearby rock, ready to defend. Lyra's eyes glowed faintly with energy, ready to fight. A figure appeared in the cave entrance, another human, wearing a hooded jacket. The stranger raised their hands in peace. "I'm not here to hurt you," they said softly. "My name is Mira, and I know about the hunters." Jack lowered his rock slowly, curious but cautious. Mira stepped closer. "I have been tracking alien trafficking for years. I can help you escape," she said, "but you must trust me." Lyra looked at Jack, then at Mira. "Can we trust her?" Jack whispered. Lyra nodded. "We have no choice." Mira smiled. "Good. Because time is running out, the hunter will find you soon, and they will not be alone." Jack looked at the two women and felt the weight of their situation. He took a deep breath, then let's make a plan to fight back. They spent the night talking. Myra shared what she knew about the hunter's weaknesses. Lyra explained more about her powers. Jack promised to stand by them, no matter what. The small cave became their secret base, a place where hope grew among fear. But outside, the dark forces gathered. And the battle for freedom was only just beginning. The cold wind howled outside the cave on Valora. Inside, Jack, Lyra, and Mira sat around a small fire. The shadows danced on the rocky walls. But their minds were heavy. They knew the hunter was closing in, and time was running out. Myra pulled out a small device from her pocket. It showed a map of the area with blinking red dots. "Those are the hunter's patrols," she said quietly. "They are searching for Lyra and anyone helping her." Jack looked at the map with concern. "How many?" he asked. "More than we can handle alone," Mira replied. "But I know where we can find help." Lyra looked at them both. "Who can help us?" she asked, her voice steady but cautious. Myra smiled faintly. "There is a group of rebels who fight against the alien meat trade. They have safe houses and weapons. They hate the restaurant owner and his business." Jack felt a spark of hope. "Can they protect us?" Mira nodded. "If we can reach them before the hunter finds us." Yes, but danger was already near. Outside the cave, something moved silently. Jack stood up and grabbed a makeshift spear. Lyra's eyes glowed blue, ready to defend. A shadow appeared at the cave entrance stall, dark and deadly. The hunter had arrived. He was an alien with sharp claws and glowing red eyes. His armor was black and scratched from many battles. He moved like a ghost, silent and deadly. Jack stepped forward. "We won't let you take her," he said firmly. The hunter laughed, low and cruel. "You cannot stop me, human. Lyra belongs to those who pay the highest price." He took a step closer, claws ready to strike. Lyra raised her hands, and a soft blue shield surrounded them. The hunter growled and swung his claws, but the shield held strong. Jack lunged forward with his spear, but the hunter caught it easily. His strength was beyond anything Jack had seen. Mira shouted from behind, "Jack, fall back. We can't fight him here." They retreated into the cave deeper. The hunter followed, but did not chase them too far. He hissed, "I will find you again. No place is safe." Then he vanished into the night, like a shadow. Jack's heart pounded. He looked at Lyra, who was shaking but unharmed. "We need to move," Mira said urgently. "The hunter will not stop hunting." They packed what they could and left the cave. The rocky ground was cold under their feet. Lyra used her powers to create a small glowing tat. Lyra used her plowing path. It was faint, but would help them move faster and avoid traps. As they walked through the dark landscape, Lyra told them more about the hunter. "He is called Karis. A feared bounty hunter known across galaxies, he never fails to catch his target. He has no mercy and works for the highest bidder, Jack. Swallowed hard, we have to be smarter than him, he said. Myra nodded. That's why we must reach the rebels. They have resources we don't, after hours of walking. They saw lights in the distance, small buildings hidden among rocks and trees. Myra smiled. This is one of the rebels' safe houses. But as they approached, they heard voices. A group of armed men and women were arguing loudly. One man shouted, "If we hide her here, the hunter will find us all." A woman replied, "We have to take the risk. She is the key to ending the alien meat trade." Jack stepped forward. "We are here to join you." The rebels stopped and looked at them carefully. A tall woman with fierce eyes approached. "I am Captain Rhea, leader of this group. If you want our help, you must prove you are serious." Lyra stepped forward bravely. "I have powers, and I want to use them to stop the hunters and free others, but I cannot do it alone." Captain Rhea nodded. "We will train you and fight together, but know this many lives will be at risk. This war will not be easy." Jack looked around at the faces, full of determination. He knew the path ahead was dangerous, but he was ready to stand and fight. That night, under the rebel camp stars, Jack, Lyra, Myra, and the rebels prepared for battle. Their enemy was strong, but their will was stronger outside the camp. The hunter watched from the shadows, a cruel smile on his face. "This is just the beginning," he whispered, "and soon I will have my prize." The rebel camp buzzed with activity. Jack, Lyra, and Mira moved quickly through the small tents and makeshift buildings. Everyone was preparing for the fight ahead. Supplies were gathered, weapons checked, and plans made. Captain Rhea gathered the group in the largest tent. Her eyes were sharp as she spoke. "We face a powerful enemy. The hunter Karis is relentless." She looked at Lyra. "Your powers give us hope, but we must be careful." Lyra nodded, feeling both nervous and strong. "I will do my best," she said softly. Jack stood beside her, offering silent support. Myra watched quietly, always alert. Days passed as they trained together. Lyra learned to control her energy. She could now create shields, heal small wounds, and send bursts of light that could blind enemies. But each time she used her powers, she grew weaker. Jack saw the toll it took and made sure she rested. One evening, as the sun set behind the rocky hills, a scout rushed into the camp. Breathless and alarmed, "Enemies are coming," he warned. "Karis has brought reinforcements. We have little time." Captain Rhea stood quickly. "We must prepare for battle now." She turned to Jack. "You will lead a team to block the enemy's path," she ordered. "Lyra and I will stay here and protect the camp." Jack felt a rush of fear, but nodded. He knew the risks, but was ready. He gathered a small group of rebels and moved out. Into the dark, rocky landscape, the moon was hidden behind thick clouds. Shadows moved quickly among the stones as they reached the narrow pass that led to the camp. Jack's team set up traps and prepared to ambush. Suddenly, from behind a large boulder, a group of strange creatures appeared. They were fierce aliens. Half human and half beast, with sharp claws and glowing eyes. Jack recognized them as mercenaries. Hired by the restaurant owner, the battle began with a roar. Jack and his team fought bravely. They used their weapons and wits to hold the pass. Lyra's voice echoed in Jack's mind. "Be careful," she whispered. Her powers were growing, stronger as she felt the danger. Meanwhile, back at the camp, Captain Rhea and Lyra prepared defenses. Mira helped heal the wounded and passed out weapons. The camp was quiet but tense. Suddenly, a loud explosion shook the ground. The enemy was closer than they thought. Lyra stepped forward, her hands glowing with blue light. She raised a shield over the camp. Energy rippled like waves. The attackers hit the shield, but could not break through. Her strength was amazing. But she looked tired. Just then, a figure appeared at the edge of the camp, a tall alien with a calm but fierce presence. He raised his hands peacefully. "I come with an offer," he said in a deep voice. "My name is Kale, leader of the Shadow Wolves. We have fought against the same enemy for years. We seek allies." Captain Rhea frowned. "How can we trust you?" Kale smiled slightly. "We share a common goal if we join forces. We can end the hunter's reign." Jack returned to the camp after the battle. He saw Kale and the other Shadow Wolves. They were fierce warriors, skilled and brave. Jack felt hope rising. Maybe this was the help they needed. That night, the leaders met in the largest tent. Plans were made to attack the restaurant owner's stronghold. Lyra would lead a team to disable the security systems. Jack and the rebels would fight alongside the Shadow Wolves. Mira would coordinate support and healing. As they talked, Lyra felt a strange connection with Kale. He understood her fears and hopes. Kale promised to protect her. Together, they would fight for freedom. But outside the camp, the hunter Karis watched from the shadows. His eyes burned with anger and hunger. "This alliance will not stop me," he growled. "I will find her, and I will take my prize." No matter the cost, the next day, the Allied forces prepared to move. Jack looked at Lyra and said, "Whatever happens, we stand together." Lyra smiled weakly. Together, we are stronger, as they left the safety of Valora. The stars above seemed brighter. A new hope was born, but the path ahead was full of danger. And the battle for Lyra's freedom had only just begun. The sun was just rising as Jack, Lyra, Mira, and the Allied forces gathered at the edge of the rocky plains. Before them stood the massive fortress of the restaurant owner. A dark, cold building surrounded by high walls and guarded by armed soldiers. The air was thick with tension. Everyone knew this battle could change everything. Captain Rhea raised her voice. "Today, we end this cruelty. We fight not just for Lyra, but for all who have suffered." The rebels and Shadow Wolves cheered quietly. Ready to follow her lead, Lyra looked at Jack, her hands glowing softly with blue energy. "I will do what I can," she said, her voice steady but tired. Jack nodded. "We stand with you." The plan was clear. Lyra and a small team would sneak inside to disable the security systems. The rest would attack the guards and create a path for escape. As Lyra and her team moved closer to the fortress, she felt her powers pulsing stronger than ever. The closer she got, the more energy she could feel inside. She whispered, "This is it." Inside the fortress, the restaurant owner sat on a high throne, cold and confident. He smiled cruelly as the alarms rang. "The hunter will handle the intruders," he said, "and Lyra will be mine." Outside, the battle erupted. Jack and the rebels fought fiercely against waves of guards. Blasts of energy, gunfire, and shouting filled the air. The Shadow Wolves used their agility and strength to take down enemies quickly. Jack moved through the chaos, protecting Mira. And helping the injured, he saw Lyra's shield glow brightly from inside the fortress walls. She was fighting her own battle. Suddenly, the hunter Karis appeared among the guards. His claws flashing, eyes burning with rage. He headed straight for Lyra. Jack saw him and shouted, "Watch out." Karis lunged at Lyra inside the fortress halls. She dodged quickly, sending bursts of light to blind him. But Karis was strong and fast. He clawed at her, and she fell to the ground. Jack's heart raced as he ran to her side. Lyra struggled to stand, her powers flickering weakly. "You must fight, Jack," she whispered. "I cannot do this alone." Jack gritted his teeth and faced the hunter. With a loud shout, he charged. The fight was brutal. Jack dodging claws and blows. He used everything he had learned from the rebels. Finally, with a strong strike, he pushed Karis back. Meanwhile, Lyra focused all her remaining energy. She raised her hands and released a powerful wave of blue light. It crashed over the fortress walls, disabling machines and knocking guards off their feet. The energy was so strong it shook the ground. The restaurant owner screamed in anger. He tried to fight the power, but it was too strong, Lyra's. Powers burned brighter than ever. She was tired, but determined. Jack and Lyra joined forces. Together, they pushed forward. The guards retreated, and the fortress gates opened. The rebels and shadow wolves rushed in. Victory was near. As the battle ended, Jack looked around. The fortress was silent, except for the breathing of the tired fighters. Lyra collapsed into his arms, weak but alive. Myra smiled through tears. "We did it," she said softly, but the victory came at a cost. Many rebels were hurt, and the hunter had escaped into the shadows. Captain Rhea said, "This is not the end. Karis will return, and the fight will continue." Jack held Lyra close, he promised. "We will be ready next time." Lyra smiled faintly. Together, we are stronger than any enemy. Outside, the stars shone brightly. A new chapter had begun. The fight for freedom was far from over, but hope burned like a flame in their hearts. The rebel camp was quiet after the battle. The stars shone softly above. Jack sat beside Lyra, who was resting on a blanket. Her body was weak, but her eyes were full of hope. Mira and Captain Rhea moved among the wounded, tending to their injuries. With careful hands, the cost of freedom was high, but the price was worth it. Jack looked at Lyra and asked gently, "What will you do now?" Lyra smiled softly. "I want to return to my people, to help rebuild and heal what was broken, but the danger is still there. The hunter and the owner will not stop until I am captured." Jack nodded. "We will protect you," he promised. "You are not alone anymore." The rebels gathered around a large screen. They were broadcasting the truth about the alien meat trade to the galaxy, images of the restaurant owner's cruelty, the capture of aliens, and the fight for freedom. The message was clear: justice must be served. News spread quickly. More planets joined the fight. People everywhere demanded an end to the dark trade. The hunter's power weakened as allies grew stronger. But not everyone was happy. The restaurant owner and his network plotted revenge. They sent spies and mercenaries to find Lyra and the rebels. The war was far from over. One night, as Jack and Lyra walked under the stars, she stopped and looked up. "I have one more secret," she said softly. "My powers come with a price. If I use them too much, I will lose myself. I fear I might become a danger to those I love." Jack took her hand, steady and sure. "We will face that together," he said. "No matter what happens, I will stand by you." Lyra smiled, a tear falling down her cheek. "Thank you, Jack, for showing me kindness when I had none, for fighting when I was afraid." Suddenly, a message arrived on their communicator. It was from the galaxy's leaders. They offered protection and a new home for those who escaped the hunters, a place where aliens and humans could live in peace. Hope filled the camp like a warm light. The dream of freedom was no longer just a wish. It was becoming real. But as Jack looked at the horizon, he saw a dark shape moving fast through the sky. The hunter Karis was still out there. Still hunting, still waiting. Jack clenched his fists. "We must be ready," he said. "For freedom is a battle we must fight every day." Lyra nodded, her eyes fierce with determination. "This is our home now. Together, we will protect it." The stars above watched silently, witness to a new beginning, a story of courage, hope, and the fight for what is right. And though the future was uncertain, one thing was clear: they would never give up, never back down, for freedom was worth every risk, every fight, every sacrifice.